Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, this year is my 24th year living with HIV. I'm sorry I didn't correct you there. Yes. My presentation today is an ongoing fight for women living with HIV, for the justice for their sexual reproductive health and rights. On November 4, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights passed a resolution condemning the practice of coerced sterilization of marginalized women, including women living with HIV. The resolution reaffirmed that sterilization can only be done with the full, free, and informed consent of the woman. The resolution further stated that and called on countries in Africa to put in place mechanisms to ensure that women living with HIV are not subjected to coercion, pressure, or undue inducement by healthcare providers or institutions in order to secure consent for sterilization, amongst others. The resolution by the African Commission is a significant step forward in making it clear that coerced sterilization occurs throughout Africa, that it violates fundamental rights, and that African countries must take meaningful steps to end the practice, including training medical personnel and providing reparations to women who have been subjected to coerced sterilization. I am now going to share a lament from one of the women, and this is a lamentation. Sterilization has totally affected my stance in the community as a woman in many aspects. Sterilization affects me emotionally because I still wanted to have more children, but it's only a mere dream now. It affects me physically because I cannot work to generate an income. My life is threatened since I'm frequently bleeding heavily, and sterilization has ruined me socially because I'm seen as half a woman in the community. Before I begin, I want to be clear about what we mean by coerced and forced sterilization. Coerced sterilization is the use of coercion in obtaining the necessary informed consent for the sterilization procedure. Forced sterilization is when a woman is unaware that she would be undergoing a sterilization procedure at the time of the surgery, and only to learn after the sterilization act has been done. In Namibia, dozens of women living with HIV have been subjected to forced or coerced sterilization at public hospitals throughout the country. I have spent over 5 years listening to their grief at not being able to have children again. And in Africa, for a woman not to have children, it's really a tough situation. And in some cases, their fear of continued abuse by their partners, husbands, families, and communities due to their inability to bear children. With others, I've called on the Namibian government, at a bare minimum, to place circulars in public hospitals, outlining what information a woman needs to be given and in what manner before she can consent to a sterilization, and provide regular training to medical personnel on informed consent. But this has fallen on deaf ears. Our work, forced sterilization, has been 6 years in the making. Sorry. I think it's the weather. It's been 6 years in the making. On January 21, 2008, International Community of Women Living with HIV convened a 5-day Young Women's Dialogue in Windhoek, that is the capital city of Namibia, to discuss issues relevant to young HIV-positive women. This workshop brought together 30 HIV young positive women from all the regions of Namibia, which we have got 13 regions. These workshops were aimed at creating safe spaces for young women living with HIV to discuss their experiences. During the workshop, a number of the young women related their experiences of having been sterilized without their informed consent at public hospitals in Namibia. In all of the instances, the women were HIV positive and were or had recently been pregnant. ICW Namibia carried out a fact-finding mission on forced sterilization in 3 regions. And then my organization carried on forward because ICW was just going out of the country at that time. So Namibia Women's Health Network, together with Legal Assistance Center, we started to document, and we documented 40 cases after meeting 230 women in the 3 regions who were subjected to coerced and forced sterilization. They indicated to us that they were subjected to that. So we went with the documentation to the ministry and met with the Deputy Minister of Health in August 2008. In this documentation, we managed to identify 15 cases through their health passports, because in Namibia we use health passports, which has got all the information of the woman's visit. And in these passports, it was written BTL, that's by tubal ligation, which the women didn't even know what it meant. And me at that time also, I didn't know what was BTL until it was explained to me. And that is a sterilization. And we also found in the passports the dates of sterilization. We therefore approached the ministry to say, this is what we have found on the ground, and this is what is written in these health passports. We need you to do investigations to see what is really happening, because all these passports, they were from different regions, which meant that it was happening in all the public main hospital, maternity hospitals. So it was a greater concern for us. She told us they were going to do their own investigations, but she never came back to us. So in 2009, we started to prepare, because they never came back to us. We approached them. They didn't want to respond to us, so we had to take another step. We had to put it for litigation now. So we identified 6 cases, but out of the 6 cases, there were 3 cases which were about to be proscribed. That's why we had to rush these 3 cases before they fell out of the time of the legal process in Namibia. So we submitted it in 2012. In July 2010, in July 2012, the High Court ruled that the 3 women living with HIV had been subjected to coerced sterilization in violation of the laws of Namibia and were thus entitled to compensation. But even after this decision by the High Court, the government has chosen not to address the issue, and indeed has chosen to appeal the High Court decision, thereby delaying the justice that all these women deserved. The appeal hearing was held again at the Supreme Court this year on the 17th of March, and the judges has so far rested the cases until they come back and tell us what is their final decision. So the African Commission resolution reaffirms that the obligation of obtaining informed consent exists not only under Namibian law, but also under regional law which applies to Namibia, having signed the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Namibia. The resolution also makes it clear that these legal requirements should not be used as a way to deny women access to desired health services, including sterilization. So my last words, I have to cut because the time is about to come. The time has come for the Namibian government to ensure that the end of practice of coerced sterilization by issuing circulars in all public hospitals throughout Namibia and training medical personnel on informed consent, including on how to ensure access to all services, investigating claims of coerced sterilization and paying reparations which is going to be appropriate. And we need justice to be made for these women. I'm sorry, I have to cut, but you can have your questions and I can further elaborate on other issues maybe which you are also saying, but maybe this is not very clear. Thank you.